Hey everyone, so today I actually made a video on the PVE tier list for the season 16, but I actually forgot to turn on the microphone. So unfortunately I'm just going to watch the video without any audio because it doesn't have any. So I'm going to try and mimic what I said in the previous video and basically make the tier list on me making a tier list. So I added new heroes, for example, Asmodeus, Izanami, and Susanoo all are being ranked in this tier list, and it's not much different compared to the previous tier list. So in here, Asmodeus is kind of like a big deal for the Lost City. Shadow Arch, you can clear all 800 levels with Asmodeus and Lucifer, plus 3 Shadow Arch, so it's kind of a big deal, and she's really one of the best Crusader heroes. And Gaia is just a weaker Asmodeus, so she's still strong, she's still relevant. And yeah, Asmodeus would also be used in the Extreme or Rift Odyssey difficulties, but it's just become so dumped down that Extreme and any kind of Rift Odyssey really is just too easy and doesn't really require any kind of strategy or any kind of really hard decisions. You don't really have to use Asmodeus, even though Gaia was one of the key heroes for Rift Odyssey for like a year, so even Asmodeus would still be S tier in here, and the only difficulty is actually just Extreme 100, which is just locked behind some key few heroes. So first off, going with is going to be Lucifer. Lucifer is just simply the best PvE hero, bar none. She should be SS tier, but I'm just too lazy to make her own tier, and it would look kind of ugly. So she's by far the best hero for Lost City, Palace of Penrose, any kind of Forgotten Lands, or from seasonal to non-seasonal, she's the best pick you should get. Then we go to Hera and basically Hela. So Hela is the second hero after Lucifer, and she's also just one of the strongest buffers, but doesn't really come even close to Lucifer. But you would still use her if you didn't have Lucifer, or you would still use her in the other multi-teams. Pandora has slightly fallen and she's been not really longer necessary. She's been replaced by Babylon, by Miles, and even though she's still strong, she's still usable, she's just a third tier DPS hero nowadays. Babylon and Arcane Doorbella hold the place for the first and second. Babylon first because of the Extreme 100 difficulties, but apart from that, Arcane Doorbella is the close second. And yeah, it's just a dead race between those two. And then we have Yorm as a buffer. She's really crucial for the Extreme and any kind of PvE, really, right after Lucifer. So Yorm is like a best buffer if were no fates in this world. So yeah, you would use Yorm in there as well. Followed by Elisha. Elisha is also one of those great buffers, but she can be replaced by Yorm quite easily. Izanami doesn't replace her, so yeah, Elisha is safe place in the S+ tier and will remain so for a while. Then we have Averhan Diana, which is basically just a premium Ophelia. So if you have Averhan Diana with 10 stars and the legendary runes, it's just so much damage from her and she's far better than Ophelia. But if you don't have that, you can just use a 7-star Ophelia and she will be just as good as Diana. Averhan Diana is there just if you're missing some damage from like Lucifer runes or something that you don't have, but you have Averhan Diana, so she's there to close the gap. I have talked about Asmodeus, a really great hero, really wide places where you can use her, and a really strong buffer. And yeah, then we have a Trupus, which I'm going to move to the S tier, which is basically a tier used in multiple teams / contents. I don't think she's really a hero that is being worthy of S+ tier nowadays because she's just been too replaced with too many new buffers, too many new heroes, and she's yet still great for, especially for those newbies that play for about a year. You will probably use a Tropus in a lot of PvE. So, but yeah, then moving on, we have the Victoria, which is the third tier Fate hero in terms of buffing. She's no longer used in many teams or any teams at all. She's just being kind of replaced, but she's still great nonetheless. Only requires 7 stars of that, so she's the cheapest Fate hero when it comes to buffing, but her buffs are limited, so yeah. Then we have Sorijan Ayushta, that is really great, doubles your team's combo hits, so you can have like Lucifer doing double hits or basically buffing twice your team with something like Cleopatra's or a Trupus cast, or basically just your team doing double actions, which is really strong. Pandora, as I said, slightly fallen off, but still great, third tier DPS hero, and Gaia is just a cheap version of Asmodeus, which means Asmodeus, when she enters Oracle Store, you can just say bye-bye to Gaia and basically have her in like a outdated tier, which is the S minus tier or A tier pretty much. So yeah, Yorm, as I said, one of the better buffers in the game, and yeah, here I am explaining how the HP conversion from Ophelia or Everhand Diana works. So you just need a HP buffer like Babylon or Synergy buffs, and then you can use Ophelia or Everhand Diana in either of the teams to just convert the extra HP into the additional damage. So the next hero is going to be the Cleopatra. Cleopatra has been outdated and really hard to get nowadays, but you simply just want to focus on her. Same can be said for Eudora, so really unfortunate. A great hero, but just simply too outdated and too overkilled with the newer heroes. They have just insane stats, so I was considering moving her to the S minus tier, but I just instead move her to the middle. Then we have Leviathan. Leviathan is one of those cheesy tier heroes. You will use her in Palace of Penrose, you will use her in Celestial Trials, you will also use her in Rift Odyssey, so those are the three places where she shines at the most, and especially in PvP. So this team you will use Hades and the Phantom Illusion hero with 3 monarchs, which will just help you survive for long, while Hades just eats them one by one and helps you win the battle without really needing any kind of DPS hero. So you will just simply beat this level by devouring all enemies and stealing them. So yeah, this is the Leviathan's purpose, to just help you survive in PvE and basically reflect back enemy hits at them, giving you more time to live. The next hero would be Loki, and Loki is really one of those stronger heroes for the PvE, and especially because of her runes. Her runes are truly amazing, and once they get added, they will increase your attack HP, basically a lot of damage. She also does damage on her own. So yeah, this is me showing her that. And yeah, I think she will shine the most when she gets added to the Oracle store and gets picked up by players, especially with her runes, and especially for the PvP as well as with PvE. So one of those balanced heroes, pretty much really great heroes released recently. And yeah, then next one is going to be Hades. Simple said, get his 4 legendary runes and let him eat enemies one by one. He doesn't work against bosses, but he will eat anything in the PvE content that is like Palace of Penrose or Lost City. So yeah, just get his legendary runes, give him some monarchs or HP for the sustains, and he will just win you a battle by simply being deployed. So he's like a slowly going on Exodia. Then we have Wu Zetian, which is actually slightly outdated nowadays because we have Babylon, and Babylon does what Wu Zetian does, but with less investment, kind of similar investment. Babylon is 7 to 8 to 9 stars really needed, whereas Wu Zetian is 7 stars with 2 epic, 2 legendary runes, so you can just simply use Babylon for Lost City nowadays and have your sustain be kind of good, but still you will need Babylon for a while. So yeah, then we have Eve, which is being used in plenty of PvE, but also at the same time not really. So she's usable in Palace of Penrose, Primeval Realm, and some dragon hits and etc. But is she really needed? Not really, which is weird because she has many actions, insane scaling, and really good DPS. And it's kind of weird she's no longer used, and I think I can blame Rift Odyssey for that, for being too dumbed down and not really requiring any kind of team building, whether it's just simply just deploying broken heroes instead of building teams around strong heroes. So then we have Ascended Bastard, which Outforce has been finally fixed, and she's really crazy right now. Her Outforce allowing her 4 out stacks to skyrocket, so she's really the top 3 Mystifier hero with Asmodeus Eve. Those 3 heroes are really deadly, followed by Tiamat and then Tsukuyomi for the Mystifiers. Tiamat and the Ascended Bastard are core Mystifier heroes. They are really strong. And if we were talking about early game, that would be better than all of them at 7 stars only, but this is not early game tier list, so yeah, Tiamat still great, and Tsuki is also a pretty solid hero that you will use for quite a while. Then we have Dahlia. Dahlia is kind of outdated, so she's no longer really used anymore, apart from the Abyss Crusades and the like Tombs of Treasures. So those are only 2 places where I can think of she's being mostly used. And then we have Izanami, which I think will be in the S tier, but this is assuming she will be fixed, or at least I hope she will be fixed, assuming she's broken. If she's not broken, then she will just simply be moved to like A tier or S minus tier, probably A tier if she's just bad. And then we have Mulan. Mulan is one of those like outdated good heroes, so pretty sad to see her outdated, but she's really not needed anymore. So yeah, I kind of moved her behind a bit, but she was the key hero for Rift Odyssey for about a year, for many months even. And yeah, she's pretty much the same tier as Dahlia nowadays. They're too niche and really, really hard to fit in majority of the PvE nowadays. So yeah, kind of still used in Primeval Realm, I believe, and Dragon Wars, but yeah, we don't really care about that. Then we have Behemoth, which is just too niche pig, and she's only used in the Palace of Penrose, I believe, and nowhere else. She could be used in the Lost City, but I moved her at the end of the cheesy pigs because she's really one of those rare cheese pigs where you don't really run her. She's, as I said, only used in the Palace of Penrose as a monarch filler for the speed, and that's really it. So then we have Aphrodite, which is also a cheesy pig, but you want to use her anywhere else apart from Palace of Penrose, really. So Vuzetian will remain in this cheesy pig, and then we have Astrid. Astrid is pretty solid for the second casting hero to cast once more, and for her attack increase based on speed, but not really necessary. Amaterasu is going back to the A tier. She's just really too niche and not really needed. Doris will move at the end of the cheesy peaks. She still works up to 15,000 Palace of Penrose floors, but after that she kind of falls off. Eudora is hard to get, and probably none of you newbies will ever get her, so unfortunately not a bad hero, just kind of too old. And Odin is one of those cheesy heroes that you need 8 stars for. You will use her in the Tombs of Treasures, you will use her in the Primeval Realm, and very likely in some Rift Odyssey levels if they ever bring back the Holy Shields issues like in the past, that you will need to get rid of them, so Odin will be your case for that. And she has some nice scaling for the early game, so not necessarily really one of the bad heroes. She's really nice hero after all. And then Primordial Argdina, which is just here as a survival bot and some additional attack boost, which you don't really need, but she's quite cheesy and she will be just moved at the end of the tier list. And I wasn't really going to talk about the A tier, and yeah, it's just some of the heroes I consider to be still good. Like Death Knight will probably move to the S tier because of her legendary runes are too strong. You have Lilith and Hecate at 6 stars in the early accounts doing God's work. They're so strong because of their flat stats, and especially Leandra is one of those best heroes at 6 stars right after Elisha, but she's really not worth purchasing. You have Fenrir, Audrey, all of these heroes are kind of usable in the early game, but they're not really worthy of picking up because their late game is because they don't really have any kind of future. We have Venus, which is also probably S minus tier cheesy big hero, so she should be also going up there. And perhaps Susanoo as well. I haven't had much test of her with the PvE. I don't think she's a PvE hero necessarily, so then we have some of the Rift Odyssey merchants, which is also Elevin partly, but all of these heroes in the Rift Odyssey merchants tier have been Rift Odyssey key heroes for the 2 years as much as the game has been out almost, especially Elmer. So Elmer needs 7 stars, Ra needs 6 to 8 stars, Lamia only 7 stars, and Arcane and normal Durabel only needs 12 stars with legendary ones, but they're no longer really needed apart from Elmer for the newbies, so the rest of the 3 you can ignore, and Elmer you get for free. Then we have Lost Cities, which is Lost City heroes. You can use them, you don't have to whatever. And then for the worst case heroes, I moved the Janna up a tier a bit because I don't think she's a worst case. She was quite good hero, and I'm not sure how Yingzheng and Bam would become kind of perform in the early mid games, but I don't think they perform very strong to be up there. So yeah, I wasn't really moving them, and the skip tier is basically self-explanatory. Don't use those heroes, skip them. And yeah, that was it for the tier list. Hopefully I wasn't off too much from what I said the first time, but yeah, I hate when the microphone doesn't turn on, and hate this repeating. But yeah, hopefully that's it. Tier list for season 16, yay. PVE tier list at that, so wasn't really much change from the previous time, but yeah, thank you for watching and see you guys in the next one.